gentlemen, not sure if you're going to find this build useful or not, but I have put together, after days of grinding, a semi-okay Lonestar PVE build. I have not tested this in PvP, and with some of the stats mainly being rolled to damage to elites, unless you're an elite in the PvP world. Let's be honest, no one is. This is probably not going to be a good or perfect or min-maxed PvP build, but this Lonestar build is not horrible when it comes to PVE. And right now, as we are farming for those GE credits to try and get these 3 gear sets, the Deadeye, Final Measure, and Lonestar classified gear sets, we are looking for PVE shredding machines, and this build does all of that. Starting with the actual build, the focus of the build is to go to enemy armor damage and damage to elites, and anything above and beyond that in terms of things like skill haste, obviously ammo capacity, enemy armor damage, all of those things you really are looking for in this build. Now, as you can see, I am not maxed out by any means in terms of armor and the firearms rolls, but I figured I would put this together and show you what has been working for this build. Don't have another chest piece. Okay, so as you can see, I've got it rolled to firearms, and I've got enemy armor damage, skill haste, and ammo capacity. If we look through the talents real quick, the second set bonus is 100% ammo capacity. The third set bonus is LMG damage and shotgun damage. The fourth is Lonestar, so when the weapon is holstered, it is instantly reloaded. That 5 set bonus is 50% more ammo, 12% more LMG damage. If you look up, you got 8, so that's a total of 20% more LMG damage, and another 12% shotgun damage, which if you look, you get the 8 plus the 12 gives you 20% LMG and shotgun damage. The 6 set bonus is called the Berserker. And this is when a weapon has 50% of its magazine remaining. There is a 75% chance to receive a bonus that activates when the final bullet is fired from the current magazine. Once activated, the magazine instantly refills, weapon damage and fire rate is increased by 20%, and this bonus will be cancelled by reloading, swapping weapons, or exiting combat. Now, this has procced for me a couple of times, and I swear that it's procced on more than one occasion. Basically what it's saying is when the magazine hits 50% left, say it's 100 rounds, and you get to 50 rounds, there's a 75% chance, so a 3 out of 4% chance that you are going to get this Berserker talent. And I will tell you something, it's basically like hitting a TAC special and getting the crazy, insane fire rates. So not only do you get the fire rate, you also get the weapon damage. That is awesome. So you go from 20% weapon damage up to 40%. This is without any other talents, without any other weapon talents, and you have, as long as you hold the trigger down, have a 75% chance, because it procs when the final bullet is fired. You get a you get that Berserker procced. So that is extremely cool. Now, the one thing that I will also say is it is extremely fast, probably within a couple of seconds, to switch to your backup weapon. So as long as you're running an LMG or a shotgun and you switch over, you're going to get those bonuses from the set 3 and set 5. So I have got ammo capacity, skill haste, and enemy armor damage on the chest piece. Again, none of this is maxed by any means. So as you can see, the armor is a little low on the mask. Rolled to firearms, enemy armor damage, and burn resistance. I'm also running a firearm skill haste mod. The mods I'm running on this are firearm skill power, firearm skill power. I'm trying to get that skill power a little bit up. I'm still playing with this build. I don't know if I should roll off one firearms to skill and maybe get up to about 150,000 just to make my pulse and booster a little bit better. That remains to be seen. The knee pads are rolled to skill and do have health rolled on them and damage to elites. I also have firearms skill haste and a 6% first aid self heal. The backpack is rolled to firearms, crit damage, and burn resistance. Now, you don't need ammo capacity here, and quite frankly, you really don't need ammo capacity on your chest because you do get the 100% extra ammo bonus when you hit that second set. So it remains to be seen whether or not you even need to have that on the chest piece. The firearms mod I'm running is rolled to skill haste and 6% first aid self heals. Now, I've also seen this build with purple mods that have damage to elites. Absolutely nothing wrong with that, and we can go through the stats momentarily. The gloves, 937, LMG damage, enemy armor damage, and crit damage. I think it's a max rolled set in terms of what you should do with the major attributes. They are rolled to firearms, a few off the max, and the Lonestar gloves have an armor roll of 937. The Lonestar holster I'm rocking with is close to being maxed out with armor. Armor should be around 1001. I'm rolling with 1356 firearms. I'm going to roll that up a little bit higher. My stamina is pretty close. My electronics is basically maxed out. You can put reload speed on here, but you're not reloading these weapons. So don't put it on. You can put some crit chance, and I particularly think it's worth rolling health in this slot. So, and I'm running a 6% first aid self heal. Now, to the weapons themselves, I have two MG5s. Both are running pretty much max damage, 14% damage to out of target targets out of cover, and both of them are rolled to that. The first one I have deadly, dominant, and competent. So when I hit my pulse, my weapon damage is increased even further by 10%. And then dominant, because I get my skills back my signature skill back fairly quickly, I want to always be running the tack build with this weapon, which I don't have on right now, but I will put it on. If you hit enough, if you get enough kills, that 10% comes back so fast. You can basically have your attack back within, I think it's a minute and a half. So, you know, if you're going through segments of missions, like every second or third segment, you're getting your attack back, which is just nuts. Throw your attack on top of Berserk and you will be melting people. The mods I'm pushing for are crit damage heavy and headshot damage heavy. The MG5 actually sits like a laser, so you can really stack up those headshots. An 18% hit every single time will just absolutely smelt people. 120% magazine size with rate of fire. Look at the crit damage. And I could actually go for a little bit more with the scope. On this weapon, I have not put the scope on with crit damage, but I could get a little bit more. This has competent, deadly, and self-preserved. Now, I put self-preserved on, and predatory, I don't know if I can re-roll the bottom slot. I can't remember what this one is rolled. But I think predatory would be better than self-preserved because you get that 35%. But actually, when you're face tanking NPCs and you're melting them and you're taking damage, every crit hit is giving you 3% back. So if you hit 5 or 10 crits, you know, per NPC. 5 would give you 15% of your health back, and 10 would give you actually 30% or a full bar of health back very quickly. So I think self-preserve, predatory, something like that isn't horrible when it comes to a weapon like this. And having competent and deadly, it's just disgusting. So, and I'll show you as we go through what exactly I'm talking about. Going to the actual character, because both are rolled roughly the same, I don't need to show you both weapons. The crit chance is absolutely brutal. If you're running with a skilled build, you're going to have probably a 20% to 21% crit pulse. And I'll show you my pulse, but so it's about 23 to 25% crit chance. But the crit damage is where this build is at. 97%. In saying that, self-preserve might be better rolled off and put adept on, because if you can stack the 30 to 37.5% crit chance, you'll actually melt even more. The headshot damage on this weapon is at 97%. Accuracy and stability don't really matter. Your range, you're probably going to be within 30 meters or about 90 feet, so it's not really a big deal. Now, the reload time is 5.5 seconds, but you can see how quickly I can switch these weapons right here, and it's literally back in, right? So we're scoped in, run out of ammo, scope back in, run out of ammo, scope back in. So it really switches extremely fast. So reload speed is of insignificance. LMG damage, as of right now, I've got the 20%, the 8 plus the 20. When that Berserker talent goes, I get another 20, so that's 40%. It's just insane. And as well as the shotgun, I haven't tested that yet, and I'm going to probably put that together and take a peek. Now, you can get the purple damage to elite mods. You can put 4 of them on. At 4% gives you 16, so you could actually have a total of 30% damage to elites with this build. If you did that and took off the self heal mods, you're gonna actually have an insane amount of damage to elites. I don't know where they are. I don't have any in my stash, but if I can find some that are being sold, I'll definitely put it on and report back as to how crazy this build would be with 30% damage to elites. The max damage to elites isn't on all my pieces, so it could probably get up closer to 20%, which means you could probably get closer to 40%, and that would just be crazy. Enemy armor damage, not so bad. Probably can get that up to 24, 25%, but we're sitting pretty good. My skill power, as you can see, is at 128,000, with the skill haste at 18%. I actually minimally want to see 25%. For me, that's the golden rule, but like I say, I haven't really had a chance to play with this build and optimize it, as well as get more pieces to play with. So as the drops come, I can update and play with this build a little bit more. Now, max health. I always talk about having health of around 200,000. That to me is golden. If you can't get that, anything close to it is good. I think this is on the low end of health, and I will take a little bit more damage than I want to. But if I'm putting out 100 rounds per gun, being able to switch guns very quickly and getting a 75% chance of hitting the Berserker, I will forfeit some health in order to get more firearms, and that's where I'm going with this build. 33+% max armor is the cap. I'm at 31.5, so I'm not too far off. I do have bleed and burn resistance on this build. Destroying resistance, it's not really a huge deal. I would love to get some shock, but again, I'm only playing with the cards that I'm dealt with. And that is all for the stat sheets. I am running a Recon Pulse, which has a cooldown of 29 seconds, duration of 20. Now with a skill build, you're going to get that up again around 22, 23%. I had 3%, so it's going to get me between 25 and 30% for crit chance. I'm adding 13% to my crit damage, which is at 123, so I would effectively have about 140% crit damage when it comes to this pulse. The cooldown being 29 seconds. I'm 9 seconds without a pulse, but typically running it within a group and having a second pulse that's there. Now, the booster shot is a little bit optional. I like running the booster shot because it gives you that buff, and it also gives you a buff of damage incoming and a buff of damage outgoing. As you look, though, the cooldown is 38.7 seconds. Where I could have the defib on and get constant healing over a period of time and have it a little bit shorter, but not significantly. And then the base sits at 38, and the overdose takes a lot longer, and every second does add up. It's about 5 seconds more, so that can be an issue. Now, when you're running in a group, you do want to have recovery link on most of the time, but one of us, and that should be me, should have the tack link on. And look at the damage it puts out. 30% more damage. It gives me 50% more RPM, and it also gives me 50% more reload speed. But I don't need that reload speed when I'm running with this build. Now it's 580 seconds of cooldown. If we divide that into 60, that's apparently 9 minutes, basically a full length of a mission, give or take. Some missions obviously take 15 or 20 minutes, but with the determined, so let's put that on there. With the determined, I am actually getting, dominant, not determined, 10% for every kill that I perform. Now, let's look at this one more time. Every kill performed while your signature skill is active reduces the cooldown of your other skills by 10%. So, but I do think this does, and I'm pretty sure, I could be wrong on this one, but I'm pretty sure it does apply to your signature skill as well. But we have to, we got to check that out. So, that's a look at the builds. What did I want to show you? Oh, I want to show you my talents. So I run these talents basically all the time. Critical save, I think, is extremely important no matter what you're doing, whether you're solo or you're in a group. Use a med kit during low health to increase damage resistance by 20% for 10 seconds. I think that's extremely crucial in a build like this. The second one is Strike Back. Reach low health to reduce active skill cooldowns by 20%. I think it's actually pretty critical as well. You do want to get your pulse and your heal back sooner than later. I run this quite often. Headshot a hostile to pulse them for 10 seconds. Listen, if they can be pulsed, I'm getting more crit. To me, that's what matters. And on the move, because you're not really in cover, you're killing a hostile will, while moving, will reduce incoming damage for 15 seconds. As you go through this game in these builds, it's all about increasing your output of damage and decreasing your input of damage, the damage that's coming in. Okay? So you want to increase damage going out and decrease damage coming in. So if there's things that can help, this is definitely one of them. There isn't really anything else that I would probably run on this build. Go through some of these here. Tactical advance if you're running a nimble holster, but obviously you're not. So when you're doing cover to cover with nimble, you always want to have this on because you're always going to increase your weapon damage by 2% per meter covered for 5 seconds. So it's always important to have that. Triage is an underrated but very useful talent. Heal an ally with a skill to reduce skill cooldowns by 15%. So if you have multiple teammates, having them run through, that could stack up pretty quickly. Basically, that is everything that I would run, but those are the 4 main ones. If you are running in a group, you can put on Combat Medic and use that instead of Strike Back, because basically when you're fighting in a group and you hit your medkit, you're going to get your group within 20 meters. You're going to help them increase their healing by 40%. So that's the build. I will be uploading some gameplay, but it does actually melt. Let me see if I can do a quick, and this is not really going to do it any justice, but let's just see if these NPCs are up outside of Autumn's Hope. And I apologize, I'm not cutting. This is live that I'm broadcasting this, but I put it together and thought, hey, let's get it out and sort of show what this build is, potentially what it can do. So we go out here, and just to see the weapon. So this weapon here, so it's deadly dominant. This will be the time that there's no threats found, obviously. Do a little run over here. Now, these aren't elites, but this will show you what the build is capable of. Actually, let's just fast travel and do a Lexington. Let's do it. Let's go get some 750 GE credits. And we can witness what this build does. I'm gonna fast travel there while we're doing it. So overall, I do like this build as a PvE build. Here we go. Let's load in. For PvE and farming, I typically run my tactician builds.
This is about taking the Rikers out at the knees. There's no one who can replace Lorraine Barrett. She's the one who organized the escape to Manhattan.
They're holding 3 of my people there. If you can get them
So you can just see how steady this thing is. Now, my like, you can really honestly see how it just shreds through. These NPCs, like, it is extremely crazy. Absolutely insane. Now, I mean, I didn't have to hit the tack there, but let's do it and just sort of see what it does. And holy smokes, does it just rip through.
Agent has joined your team.
Look at all the X's. What is going on with X's tonight? You've got to be friends. Have to be friends. I'm gonna actually let this weapon go right down. We'll see if we proc the Berserker. There we go. See that? I didn't even have to reload. This thing is just going like crazy right now. And switch over and boom, you've got a weapon. I just think this thing just absolutely melts. I'm excited to take it into Last Stand and see what it does. I know it's... So there's, again, the Berserker just procced. Look at it, procced again. So that's 3 full 100 mag rounds, and it procced again. So there's 4. Now, I mean, I'm in cover right now, so that procced 4 different times. How crazy is that? I gotta remember not to reload. Someone just hit tack. If the Berserker goes, it's nuts. Look at it just go. That is insane. Absolutely insane. And it's procced again. I mean, headshot after headshot. And switch over, and here you are. Now, I'm on a PS4. This is not, by any means... my stability on this is horrible, and this thing, like, so 87. So look, I'm gonna reload this. 5.5 seconds. Before that, I can swap over, and it's already reloaded. I just think for PVE builds, and this is not even close to being min-maxed. This is probably like, I got another, like I say, at least 10% enemy armor damage, probably another 15% damage to elites. That's not even including the 4 performance prototype mods that I can have enemy damage to elites. So pretty freaking cool, if you ask me. How this goes. So I'm gonna stay up here and just see what, yeah, never mind. Sniper will take me down. That was foolish by me. I'm used to running my TAC build with a BFB and destroying foos with it. I don't even know if this is smart enough to crawl over. You're gonna die, bud. You're gonna die. You're gonna die. You're not gonna die. So you wanna let this go, because you might get that Berserker, and it's worth it to try it. Another thing, I like to move when I walk. I like to fire when I walk. This gun's pretty stable. Like when you're strafing, it's actually not that bad. If I'm using the tree here and I want to strafe, I can keep it on pretty good. So this one will have the competent, deadly, and self-preserved.
Negative, Ramos. We've got this. Find a secure position and hunker down.
And that's in order, Sergeant.
Okay, we got the Berserker talent active. Pretty crazy. Pretty freaking crazy.
My people are getting in a position to breach the hull. Agent, you're gonna want to unlock the maintenance access. The building blueprints show a security control room down in the basement.
And what I do, what I like about this is a lot of times LMGs they bounce all over the place. the way this MG5 works, it's not a laser, okay? It's not going to be like an MP5 where it's, you know, you can't move the gun. The gun is like, you know, laser, but it's pinpoint accuracy. Like the weapon will not bounce all over the screen. When we get down to a certain area here, I'll just fire it. I won't touch my right stick, and I will let the weapon move. And you can see, okay, Berserker's kicked in. See if we get it again. No.
Warning. Additional hostiles.
Like, look at that. That's insane. Now Berserker's kicked in.
Incoming hostiles detected.
Okay, so going toe to toe. Berserker's kicked in again. Berserker kicked in again. I haven't reloaded. We're into 300 rounds right now, plus the damage. Okay, Berserker's done. So you just switch over your weapon. Hit the pulse. Okay, I'm gonna do a right on this mannequin here. I'm gonna just fire at midsection. I'm just gonna hold the joystick. Now I'm barely holding it, but I'm holding it. It doesn't move. Now, it will strafe up, okay? Every weapon will move a little bit, but really not bad at all. Where are you going, Sue? Let's see if I can get that sniper. See, I'm moving. I'm on the move. That is crazy. Okay, Berserker's kicked in. I'm actually not going to let my hand off the trigger. Berserker kicked in again. Okay, guys. Finally. Crazy. Switch it out. Yeah, I've got Tack and Berserk going right now. This is nuts. Berserk didn't proc. Alright guys, that's it. I mean, this thing just absolutely melts when it comes to it. So get your hands on the Lonestar set if you can, grind away.
At least now we can get these JTF
Hopefully about the MG5 blueprint. And I really hope that you can put a build together like this. I freaking love it, guys.
Any more personnel? I owe you, Agent. Hell of a job.